Quad 66 here. The 110 Whoopster. Finally got this thing flying well. So this is built on this F3 Crazy Bee board. It's a 1S board. And I've been working on this with this board for a while because it's the lightest thing that's out there, especially if you use the integrated receiver. You can get some really light builds out of it. And that was kind of my focus. I was trying to build on this 90mm frame previously and then fly with smaller motors like the 0803s with the 55mm Funta props. And it worked well from performance-wise in terms of good punch-out power, good flight time. But it had I couldn't get the tune right, couldn't get it to feel good, and I ended up with I had to use higher D's than P's, and even with that you still had these weird little, I don't know, just kind of kicks and jerks and bucks and stuff in it, it just wouldn't fly smooth. So I was kind of worried maybe I had a bad board or something, but threw it on this and now this flies fantastic. So this is a 110mm frame. And I've got the 1102s, 13,500 kV heavy model motors, and with the kebab props. These props definitely draw a little bit more amps, cut down your flight time, but I do like them. And then using just that Nubidrone canopy just for convenience, even though I hate the way it looks. So the frame itself, really straightforward design. It is cut along the fiber, and so you've got the arms going all the way through so that you've got nice continuous fibers, which helps with the strength. And then in terms of features, okay, so what's different about this frame? One is opening up the middle a little bit so that if you wanted to do a true transplant build, you can. So this is the F2, this is a 2S board. And so you can see here, if you pull this off a Mobula or something like that, you can just stick it on there the way it comes off the Whoop. And that way you wouldn't have to mess with all the motor remapping, flipping your board, reversing the motors, and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of one feature of it. The downside of that is you are going to increase your profile a little bit. You can see how it sticks out just a little bit further than the board, a little further than you need to, but I think that's sort of a moot point with the way I've got all the rubber bands and other stuff. I don't think it really matters much. The other sort of feature of this frame is the new mount. So one of the things I did, and this is a little bit more relevant I think for the 110, where the 0803s the motor wilds will reach just on the regular 110, where I'll be probably flying those motors more. This frame now sticks out far enough to where it gives some protection. So if you can see that the nubbin kind of sticks out past the motor and gives it a good little bit of protection if you got the 0803s. That's less true on the 1102s. Obviously 1102s are bigger motors, so that nubbin's not going to stick out, relatively speaking, quite as far. But you can see that it does from the bottom at least. It comes out past the motor, so from the bottom at least you've got a little bit more protection than the other things. The other thing I did with that mount is it's now universal. I can now get 1103s with the 4-hole mount on there as well. And it is maybe a little bit not quite as clean because to mount that on there, so for example, here's the Beta FPV motor with that 4-hole mount. You only need 2 holes to mount this, and so it is 45 degrees, so the wire's going to be sticking out, but these are pretty flexible wires on these full speed and Beta FPV motors, so you can just kind of tuck them out of the way, even though it's going to be mounted off by 45 degrees. And I'm pretty happy with that because that gives you the option to just do one frame, and you can, if the new motor flavor of the day comes out, you can flip it on there, switch it out and have that option. And I think it does that pretty well without really adding much weight, because I wanted to do the protection anyway, so I wanted that nubbin on there. And it's once you throw that nubbin on, you might as well, get the extra hole for extra holes for those 4mm 4 screw hole motor mounts. Just out of pure obsession, I do want to do a light version of this where I'm going to make these internal cross braces just a little bit narrower, and also on the motor mount shave off just a little bit of material over there. I think weight-wise, realistically, it's going to be probably negligible, but I'm just a little obsessive. All right, so yeah, I guess one detail. So these 1102 motors, these have the longer motor wires, so these will reach perfectly fine, and you can even plug them in; they'll reach with the plugs on. So that's another option too. So I'll leave you here with a little bit of flight footage. Note that I'm flying on an old battery, so it kind of got sucked down pretty quick. Came up short of 3 minutes. Also, it was windy as heck, and so I was getting moved around quite a bit in the air. And so the tune is actually a little bit better than what it might look like in that video. All right, until next time, cheers.